my dreams really do come true. Okay, I haven't done, okay. So design. Design is so much more than just buying pretty things and arranging them in a pretty way, said this interior designer. Design is so much more than just a visual experience. It's a skill, it's a thought process. Ultimately, design is a framework to enhance, it's a tool to enhance our humanity. And design is so much more than just aesthetics. It is also a way to create an environment that transforms moods and mindsets. You cannot control everything, but what you can, let it bring you joy. That's an Isabel original quote. And what I mean by that is sometimes controlling the joy could be, what you can't control, it could be just as easy as saying no to bringing things into your space that you just don't like. So maybe a good-meaning, well-intentioned relative just bequeaths upon you something that you just think is ugly. So instead of letting that occupy your space, it's not that you have to decorate your whole house at once, but it's being intentional about what you do bring into your space. So it might be easier to just leave a space blank until you're ready for that next step, until you find out what you truly like. And that, I think, is really important, is what you can control. Let it bring you joy. Another Isabel original quote is, choose to be an oasis of beauty, both in spirit and in design. And so I really think that design is so much more than just, or interior design is so much more than just furniture and putting pretty things around you, but there's also a spirit to it. And be intentional about what you surround yourselves with. For example, it could be just, what do you listen to? Is it something that brings you up? Not just music, but a podcast. Is it something that lifts you up, or is it something that keeps you neutral? And keeping you neutral is fine every once in a while, but I do think that it is important to elevate yourself just to the next step of what makes you happy. Even with clothes, like I love clothes, and there's times where I'll just catch a glimpse of myself in a reflection, and I'm like, that is so pretty. And so that, to me, just a simple thing in cool clothes for me, that's just one way to elevate the joy and the happiness. So be intentional about creating this oasis of beauty in both spirit and in design. So now I'm going to move from a motivational speaker to a walking, talking Pinterest board full of fun facts and inspiration anyways. Okay, so I'm going to take you on a little house tour. So a foyer. There are times when I have had clients, it's a really interesting social experiment. I'll have like 2 clients back to back that might have the same kind of house, the same kind of price point that they're wanting to spend on their project. But their end goal is so opposite of each other. So I'll have someone say, Isabel, I'm ready for you to transform my space. I have a really big, busy day. The kids have a busy day at school. I've got a lot going on during the day. I want to come home and just feel this like calm, relaxed, honey, I'm home. But then I'll have another client that's basically said that same thing up to the point of, I've got a really busy day, kids, blah, blah, blah. I want to come home and I need to feel energized for that next phase of my day. So I love to start with the foyer, or your entrance, whatever that entrance is for your family. So it doesn't always mean decorate the front foyer, because I think it's more important to decorate for yourselves, for your family, than it is to decorate for other people. So sometimes that could be, spend your first phase of your project on the back hall, in the mudroom, or wherever your family is just going to need that first moment of, I'm home. This is my happy place. This is my safe place. And home should be your safe place. It should be your retreat from the world. So here we've got a foyer that either screams like beach vacation or honey, I'm home. This is another idea where you can do a lot with wallpaper. This, to me, is a neutral. If you look up close, it is a very busy three-dimensional design. It's my own foyer, and I did have a lady who helped clean for me quit because it gave her vertigo, but that's literally a true story. But it doesn't cause vertigo for my family, for my kids and I. And so I love it so much that I just started taking it up the stairs, up the ceiling. Oftentimes, when we're looking at wallpaper, we might have to think, well, where's a start and stop point? But I just say, let it go. If there's not a clear stop and you like it, just take it up the stairs, up the ceiling, and and cross your fingers that you've picked the right wallpaper that doesn't make you dizzy. This is another foyer that I worked on that has plain walls. And so sometimes I joke that beige is not a color, but in this instance, it really works, just having a very neutral background where you can just go really wild with happy colors of artwork. You can play with scale, the way that this piece of art is much larger than the console table below it. To me, it was just making a statement. And then there's a real balance here of neutral palettes with some more vivid colors. This is to show people that I really can do neutrals. And this is also important to show how negative space can be important. Intentionally, there's not a rug there. Intentionally, there's a negative space going up there towards the staircase. And so that juxtaposition of when to put a lot together versus when to have breathing space it should be thoughtful. And decorating with plants is just always so great, and now it's trendy to do this whole jungalow vibe, which I'm so into. And I really encourage you to play with scale. These, on the console table, those plants, it's actually weeds. And for this photo shoot, I had like some small flowers, but I always bring big scissors with me, like shears, wherever I go. And when you find like some big weed that is just really cool, just go and stick it in a vase. And I have those all over my house that I've just foraged from the side of the road. This is a living room that what I want to show you here is that sofas need not match. And you don't have to get so hung up on should the silhouettes be the same? Hold on. This is what you should not get hung up on is this too much? Will I not like it in X amount of years? Who knows where you'll be in X amount of years? Who knows if you'll be in a different house, in a different city, if you'll be divorced or in an apartment? Who knows what's gonna happen? So decorate for the now. Furniture can always be reupholstered. It can always be changed out, but this just gave my clients so much joy because I showed it to them and they were like, yes, let's do that, but then they were scared, and so that's where I have to go into like my pep talk mode and convince people to do wild and crazy things. But in my designs, it's really important that my clients genuinely love these particular items and are not on the fence or so-so about it. And I always tell them, if you don't love this, that's okay. We can find something new. But then leave it up to the interior designer to know how to balance. Okay, we've got these crazy sofas. Now let's balance it with a hemp rug or neutral walls or whatever. This is an example of how traditional can be also modern and current. And so oftentimes people might have like an antique-y looking rug that is from a family member. And so by mixing it with certain pieces that are more modern, it's just a way that you don't have to like be trapped in like hand-me-down furniture. You know, you can zhuzh it up. And then this is just a lesson on mixing patterns and prints. And a little trick is we've got a solid sofa here, but you can take trim and add it to the bottom of a piece of furniture. And you don't have to think of trim just being put on a skirt. That's generally thought of it that way, or it's thought of it as on a curtain panel. But you can also reupholster a piece and run trim, you know, vertically on it. Anyways, you can do a lot of things, and I'm a trim queen. And so that and a hot glue gun. Okay, so this is a lot, but I love it. And this is to illustrate something that's very important to me, and that is the I must travel. So there are ideas that you go into a room and you should have a statement piece. You come into this room and your eye lands. But no, your eye should travel. So I love to walk into a room that says, oh my, well first you're like, what? There's so much in here. And then your eye lands on a cool light fixture. And then you're like, wait, there's this wallpaper. Oh, and then there's this fabric. So your eye is traveling. And it just creates a space that is curated and traveled. And so anyway, so I really like this. And then, so this is my living room, that's why I like it so much. But there's times where I'm like sitting in my own living room and I'm like not even really like even maybe watching TV because I'm watching my room because I discover something that I put there. Every time it's like something new. I love the idea of carving out small nooks. It's not always about maximizing seating. It's not, oh, how many people can we fit into this living room? Be intentional about creating little pockets of spaces that is just enough just for people just to have an intimate, cozy little setting. What I love about this room so much is all of these layers. This rug, it's sentimental to me very much. This rug my mom gave me. The chairs I found at a local thrift store, and then I reupholstered it in a fabric that I had been obsessed with for so long. The curtains were my first custom curtains I ever done, and I've become so much better since then, but they're sentimental to me just because they were my first ones, and all of the little mistakes I've done are in that curtain. So if you hire me now, they will be so much better. And then there's also ways to incorporate collections. I love being respectful of things that are sentimental to people. So, but you don't always have to have a collection just like all over like a bookshelf or wherever. So an example here is you can take a box, okay? So say that you collect shells or you've gone on a vacation with your family and you want to, what are you gonna do with these shells? I mean, are you gonna put them in a Ziploc bag? I mean, that happens and then they just like get smelly. But you can get a regular box and hot glue your shells on it. I've painted some of them just so that it's not so beige. And then you've got like a little cute keepsake souvenir that's, I don't know, useful, although I'm not really into everything has to be useful. It has to be beautiful. Sometimes I'm very much into form over function. Okay, so this space is a work from home office. And we've got like the built-ins, the desk area there on the right, but it just doesn't feel like an office. It's, of course, there's a place for you to go and get your work done, but then it's also like a very inviting space. Something that is so interesting that I learned today is that there are companies that are offering stipends to their employees to decorate their home office. These are people that realize the importance that your environment plays on your mood and on your mindset. And so I just think that that is so special and so unique. Something really interesting is that in the beginning, actually this is not interesting, this is more vulnerable, but in the beginning of the pandemic, I lost it. Like those first few days when like the world was dying, I was just like, I have no job. Interior design is a luxury business. People are going to hoard their money to spend it on food and shelter. Like I am done. But the opposite happened to so many interior designers around the country. It's that people really understood the importance that an environment plays in their mindset. And so people that had just been like, I'm not going to decorate this office or this living room or this dining room or this whatever, really understood the importance of a well-decorated environment that really uplifts you and motivates you. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about dining rooms, but the reason why there's this picture of a living room up is because I want to encourage you to use every room in your house. We never used the dining room. We were just always in the kitchen, or we've got like a little table for four outside of the kitchen. So why would I have this big formal dining room that nobody ever used? So think of spaces and what they could be so that all of the rooms in your home is used. So here I just took all the dining stuff out and then made it a TV room. and then moved a little table in front of a window just because I needed a space. And just, again, think of spaces not as what they are necessarily, but what they can be. And so sure, it might be kind of like weird or unthought of to put a dining table just perpendicular to a window and put a lamp on it, but it works. So just be creative about the space. If you'll note that the lampshade is really pretty, I am on a mission for no white lampshades ever, unless it's something like this that's like super high gloss and gold on the inside and cool. So you can buy a lamp base, but then you can find really cool lampshades that are decorated with fabric. You can either have them made or you can find them ready-made like this one is, or you can take this white lampshade and then you can add fun stuff to it like trim. You can put trim on the bottom or just whatever, just to, zhuzh things up. Okay. This dining room is to illustrate how hand-me-down furniture that is sentimental can be incorporated and looks good. And so this was a dining table that my client was given to by their parents, and very traditional chairs that were reupholstered, solid fabric on the back, a fun bird print, or solid on the front, a bird print on the back. And so, yeah, there's certainly ways to make spaces your own. And I'm also really into, oftentimes, a family relative might give you like a whole suite. And that might just be like a whole lot. And so start breaking up that suite. Maybe use the table in the dining room, or what was traditionally the sideboard, put it into a bedroom and use it as a dresser. The chairs, maybe if the chairs are not bringing you joy, or that's like too much of like a whole suite ensemble, consider donating the chairs. Your relative, I would hope, has no intention of having this hand-me-down furniture weigh you down and be a burden to you. And so if it brought them joy, either say no, or if you can't say no, then just pass it on to someone else who can find joy in it. I find so much joy in thrift stores. Locally, it's Room Service, it's Liberty, it's Scout. And so I find so much joy in other people's no thank yous. These chairs, for example, I found at Scout. I had them reupholstered, and we kind of are in a sort of pandemic of fast furniture, fast fashion. I mean, I love fast fashion, but there is, with furniture, there's a social responsibility to not just like buy cheap stuff, big cheap stuff like big sofas, and then throw it away. So donate it, and there could be someone that appreciates that stuff like me to bring new life to things. This is another example. The color is off, obviously, so just know that it's not so neon in real life. But this is a great mix of heirloom sideboard, antique chairs, and then just doing like really fun modern light fixture, and go bold with the wallpaper. If it brings you joy, do that. And there's other ways where if you're not going to wallpaper an entire space, you can get wallpaper. This is just a leftover, so it would be a little bit bigger. And then you could get it and you could frame it. So it could be art, or it could be giant panels if you choose to not make that kind of investment all over the room, or if you need something a little simpler. This is another dining room that is very neutral, but it started very neutral. And it started with, and then we just built everything around that really fun rug. And then there's just a matter of just balancing when to go all out, which is rugs and then enhancing it with the art, and then when to scale back, which in this case would be more neutral window treatments and neutral paint color. Another example of furniture that is bequeathed to the person. This is a client the husband is from Mexico, the wife is from America. And so it was really important that we showed these ties to his Mexican heritage. And so it was the husband who I gave him some fun wallpapers, and he picked this out. And the furniture came from Mexico, the darker, heavier ones. But it's really heavy when it's just by itself or up against a white wall. And so that's where we found this juxtaposition to do a wild wallpaper and then bring in a rattan chair just to chill it out and mix it up. So it's important to respect the things that are sentimental or the things that have been handed down to you, but it's equally important to make it your own so that it does bring you joy. Okay, another thing about hand-me-down stuff. Oftentimes, I'll have clients who just like give me like a stack of china that they don't use as their everyday, but it's been bequeathed to them. And so an idea here is to just make a statement with it. It doesn't have to be in the dining room. Sometimes you'll see this china in a china cabinet, but consider it in a different location of the house. In this case, it's a back hall. And then mix and match it with, like in this case, it's baskets. Or it could be you've got a traditional china set, but then you put in like some funkier pieces just to spice things up. This is a powder room. I love to go bold in a powder room. It's like a jewel box of the house. Just like open up that door and whoo, there's something really fun. An idea, a trick is those are bowls. You can take an interesting bowl or a plate that you have and take it to a light place that will rewire it to make it into a fixture like this. The same idea can be done with, this is a basket, but say that you have a basket that just maybe doesn't have handles or whatever, it has handles and you want it. Take it to a light place and it's not an electrician, it's a guy who or a person who reworks light fixtures. And then this can become a light. You could have a bowling pin, and they make that into a light, add a harp, add a shade, and there you go. So think of objects not as they are, but what they could be. This is another powder room. It is snakes. I used to be terrified of snakes until I found out that snakes can signify rebirth and the shedding of skin and you're a whole new you. And so in this case, it's not for everybody, but we put snakes also on the ceiling. So it can trip some people out, but maybe they just need a little trip. This is another, so this powder room is the same as the family that is half Mexican, half American, and so we really wanted to embrace their heritage. And so there's the vase there that is true Mexican tile, and then all of this just gives that spirit of that vivaciousness of Mexico in a very fun powder room. This is another powder room, and what I want to say about this is that light fixture up there, that was a candle hurricane that I bought from Target. You know, you put a candle in it, but then you can flip it upside down, and have your person put a light bulb. If you don't have that person, I do. I have all these people. Okay, so the all-white kitchen. It's been here for a long time. People are adding more color to their kitchens. And this is I want to talk about resale versus doing it for you. Obviously, the latter is what I'm a huge fan of. And so many times I'll go to clients' houses and they just think of okay, it should be white subway, or it should have gray grout, or it should be neutral, neutral, neutral for resale. Dude, no. Don't even think about the reseller who's going to come unless you're flipping houses, but do it for you and what brings you joy. If I were to come into any house, the first thing I would do would just demo everything that's not unique to me or special to me. So this is an image of a sonata on the background of that, and then there's copper fixtures, and these light fixtures are really cool. When you turn on the lights, that glows and creates a really cool design. So shadow play. Okay, so this is, oh my God, I love this kitchen so much. It's mine. And I am my own worst client. I could not make a decision about my backsplash for forever. I went through so many tile options, and then I was like, but Isabel, what you do love is crazy cool wallpaper. So another idea of just putting it not only on the walls, but on the ceiling and making that a real statement. If you need to, my wallpaper guy gave me such a hard time about it. He's like, I'm not warranting this if food gets on the back. But you can always just take a piece of glass and then just put it right back of the backsplash. But I don't do anything because it's not always functional. I really do it because it just makes me so happy. Okay, bedrooms. There are bedrooms, and the bedroom that you want should be about the mood that you want to create, whether you're going to sleep or waking up. So there are people that tell me, hey, the overarching idea, generally speaking, is we want a relaxing bedroom that calms us. But there are people like myself that I need a bedroom that's gonna wake me up and it's gonna go, go, go. But this here is a bedroom that has just a really beautiful mix of found pieces, and how you can just take pieces that you love and then just kind of say yes to what you love and then just hire an interior designer to make it work. This is just another really pretty vignette, and I put curtains just right next to the bed just to create a little special effect. I actually made this headboard, and it's just plywood, fabric, batting, staple gun, and then you can, more trim, you can just add trim just to make it work, just to add that little fun factor. So design doesn't have to be just about like putting so much money into stuff. It can be a mix of found objects, of things that are more expensive that you've worked towards, or like get out a hot glue gun, you know? This is a bedroom where the client wanted to wake up energized. This is the same house where in the beginning of the slideshow had all of that really fun, it looked like they were on a cruise ship, but so that's that. And then this is a light fixture that hangs from the ceiling. So light fixtures don't always have to be on a bedside table, it doesn't have to be a lamp. So that's a cool little fun fact there. A bedroom that is more soothing, just a little bit cooler, calmer colors, but not boring. So relaxing doesn't have to be boring. This right here is a guest room that I just wanted to make really special. Everything here is very inexpensive. I don't love to broadcast like big box stores, but it's a big box store that's like, sounds like Target. But things don't have to be expensive. Okay, kids' rooms are so important. As much as we are talking about our spaces and how we've talked about the work from home office for us, we've talked about the primary bedroom for us and the importance of a space, but it's so important for children to have their own space. They need a break, you know, from everyone. And just to have a space that's really inspiring. So in this case, this little girl, Maya, I gave her like 5 fabrics to choose from, and I was like, Maya, you know, pick 3, and then that'll be, or pick 2, and I'll go with that. And she picked all 5, and I was like, that's my girl. We will make this work. And so there's wall-to-wall carpeting in this bedroom, and so we added a rug just to layer, just to define the space. And then pivot to the other side of the bedroom, it's just a little nook for the kid to chill out in. But I think that lots of times people might put for budgetary reasons, they'll put their kids' bedrooms on the back burner and just focus on maybe those primary spaces, but I really think that it's most important to decorate for you and your family first before we decorate for our guests, just so that like what I told you in the beginning about the spirit of design, be a spirit of an oasis of beauty and spirit. It starts with the people in your home, like the little kids. This is a teen room, and the idea here is take a floor and splatter paint it. And so I just think that that's such a good idea. Just yeah, so that's the teen dream. This is my kids' bedroom, and the idea here is the headboards I made the same way with staple gun and fabric. And I love taking a wall and painting it. 3/4 is a colorful paint. The last half is neutral. And it's just a way just to create something fun and intentional and designery without having to go all out. It's just paint. I love playing with scale, and that's why that lamp is like literally bigger than the headboards. If IKEA shoppers will recognize that Malm dresser, but it really is about mixing and matching what you have and what you can do, so it doesn't all have to be like super fancy. Oh, okay, that's it.